Hi guys, Mimi G here and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a sew along to my new fall pattern, Simplicity 3167. We're going to start with View A, the top. All right guys, we're working on my new Simplicity 3167 pattern. We're going to be working on View A, the top. Remember that on the back of the pattern envelope, you have a list of suggested fabrics and you're also going to need 1/4 inch wide elastic for the top. Now let's go over the pattern pieces you're going to need to cut. We're going to cut pattern piece number 1. This is the front. We're cutting 1 on the fold. We have pattern piece number 2. This is the back. We're also cutting 1 on the fold. We have pattern piece number 4. This is our upper collar. You're going to cut 2. We've got pattern piece number 5. This is our under collar and you're also going to cut 2. We have pattern piece number 3. This is our sleeve. You're going to cut 2. Then you're going to cut out pattern piece number 6. This is our guide for the elastic. Okay, once you have everything cut, we can start sewing. Okay, we're going to start by pinning together our front to back. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pin our side seams first. Right sides are facing. And then do the other side seam. Okay, we're going to head to the sewing machine. We're going to do both side seams the same. We're going to start at the bottom using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and we're going to stitch. Okay, our side seams are done. I went ahead and also serged. I would suggest, like I do in most of my videos, that as you do one step, you stop, try it on, make any adjustments you need to make, and then continue. So for example, if you want to make sure that this is going to fit along the bust and it's not too snug or too loose, I would slip this over my body now, make any adjustment I need to make before we move on to the next step, which is the sleeves. Okay, we're going to go ahead and grab one sleeve. You're going to do the same exact thing to the other sleeve. So you're going to fold right sides facing. And we're going to pin our underarm seam. Okay, go ahead and pin your other sleeve the same way. Now we're going to go ahead and stitch using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, starting at the hem and working our way up. Okay, once the underarm seam is sewn on both of our sleeves, this would be a great time to slip the sleeve onto your arm and make sure that it fits the way you want. If you want it to be a bit more snug or you want it to be a bit looser, this would be the time to make the adjustment before attaching the sleeve to the bodice. Okay, now we're going to go ahead, grab the bodice. You're going to do the same thing to the other sleeve. You're going to make sure that you are attaching the correct sleeve to the right side. So remember that your front has 1 notch and the back has 2 notches along that armhole. So you want to make sure that that matches the sleeve. We're going to pin first at the side seam and underarm seam to make sure that those are aligned, and I'm going to pin. And then you want to make sure that, and also let me mention, right sides are facing. You also want to make sure that both your double notches are matching. So you should have 2 double notches on each, the bodice and the sleeve. And the same for the front, you should have 1 single notch. Okay, you're going to pin your other sleeve to the other armhole the same exact way. Then we're going to head to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, we have attached our sleeves. You can go ahead and slip this on one more time, but if you had done this in steps, like had fitted the bodice before attaching the sleeves, tried the sleeves on before attaching them to the body, then you should know that this is going to fit just fine. We're going to set this aside. We're going to grab both pieces for our upper collar. You're going to do the same exact thing to the second piece. Okay, so we're going to be working on one. We're going to go ahead and gather our sides. So you're going to do 2 rows of gathering stitches on each side seam of the upper collar pieces. Okay, so as you can see, I have created 2 rows of gathering stitches on both of my upper collar pieces. Now we're going to go ahead and pull the thread so we can gather this. Now we're going to be using our under collar as a guide, okay? So this needs to be gathered to be the same width as our under collar. Okay, you're going to do all 4 sides the same way. Okay, with right sides facing, we're going to go ahead and pin our side seams. All right, let's head to the sewing machine. We're going to stitch both side seams using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, you're going to now want to press your seams open as best as you can. And then if you have any gathering stitches that are visible on the right side, you can just remove those now. Now let's go ahead and set this aside for just a sec. You're going to grab your under collar pieces. And with right sides facing, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, okay? You're going to pin the side seam of the under collar, and then we're going to stitch it using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, just like you did before, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, then press your seams open. Okay, with your upper collar right side out and your under collar wrong side out, we're going to go ahead and slip this over the upper collar. Okay, so the right sides should be facing each other. We're going to leave the top not pinned or sewn yet. We're going to go ahead and pin along the bottom. The top has notches, the bottom doesn't. I'm going to align my side seams first. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and pin the rest of the way around. Okay, now let's head to the sewing machine. We're going to stitch all the way around using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, we've gone ahead and sewn all the way around. I'm going to trim my seam allowance. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and open this up. And we're going to bring the cut edges together. Okay, so now wrong sides are facing. I'm going to go ahead and pin my side seams, making sure that those seams align. And then we also have some notches. So you want to make sure that you align and pin where your notches are. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and baste this together all the way around. Okay, so you're going to turn your bodice wrong side out. And you're going to go ahead and make sure that your collar is also facing wrong side out, meaning the side that's not gathered. Okay, we have this side, the right side people are going to see is gathered. You want the part that's not gathered. You're going to slip that over the top of your bodice. And we have those same notches, so we want to go ahead and pin those notches. Same notches on the back, and then you're going to do your side seam. Okay, now we're going to stitch all the way around using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then what we're going to do is from that 5/8 of an inch seam allowance to the inside, we're going to stitch again 3/8 of an inch so we can create the elastic casing. All right, we've gone ahead and sewn our collar to our bodice using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now 3/8 of an inch in, okay, towards the cut edge, you're gonna do another line of stitching 3/8 of an inch wide, and you're going to leave a small opening because we're gonna need to insert our elastic. So we're gonna stitch all the way around and leave about a 1-inch opening. Okay, now using pattern piece number 6, the guide for the elastic, you're gonna cut out a piece of elastic based on the size top that you cut. And we're gonna go ahead and insert our elastic through our opening in our casing. Okay, you're gonna grab a safety pin or whatever you use to sift your elastic through. And we're gonna go ahead and go in the opening. And you're just gonna pull your elastic all the way through the casing and out the opening again. Make sure to keep an eye on the tail end of the other end of the elastic so that it doesn't accidentally get put inside the casing and then you have to start over again. Okay, once you come out of the other end, make sure to hold on to both pieces of your elastic, and you want to make sure that they're not twisting in any way. And then you're just going to stitch these closed. Okay, now you're just going to go ahead and pull. And then you're just going to now head back to your sewing machine and close this little opening. Okay, so you're going to just start where your existing stitching is until you reach the other end of the opening and then back stitch. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and turn our bodice to the right side. And now when you fold down your collar, your casing is to the inside. Okay, once our collar is attached, all you have to do is give it one last try on. Make sure the length of the sleeve is good for you. You're going to finish off your sleeve hem and the hem of your top, and you want to make sure that if you don't have a twin needle or you're not using a twin needle, you will want to use a very narrow zigzag stitch to finish off the hem of your top and also the sleeve hem. Once you do that, you are all done. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed these sew-alongs. Please make sure and follow on social media if you're not already at Mimi G Style, and tag me so I can see all of your amazing makes. Until next time, peace.